a case-based course on analyzing and designing a freestanding canopy subject to wind load. In this course, we'll focus on 4 main areas. First, we'll explore how different wind load patterns affect the canopy. Then, we'll look at how to identify the key wind pressures for design based on the ASCE 7 standard. After that, we'll analyze a main wind force resisting frame considering both wind and dead loads. And finally, we'll design the steel members of the frame using the AISC provisions. Before you begin, it really helps to have a solid background in structural analysis. If you've already taken our introductory course, you're good to go. If not, I'd suggest starting there first. It'll make this material much easier to follow once we get into structural analysis and design. We'll be studying the canopy of a bus terminal located on the west coast of the United States, on flat terrain in a suburban setting. The canopy's framework consists of 18 cantilever steel frames stretching about 136 meters in total. These frames are tied together at the top by a series of I-beams. The roof and ceiling are made of flat aluminum plates. And enclosed areas beneath the canopy form offices and waiting rooms. Since we know where the bus terminal is located, we can use the ASCE hazard tool to find the basic wind speed for the site. According to ASCE 7, this type of building falls under Risk Category 3, which applies to structures that accommodate large groups of people or pose a considerable risk if they fail. A busy bus terminal fits that description perfectly. From the ASCE hazard tool, we get a basic wind speed of 100 miles per hour, or about 45 meters per second for this location. We can also verify this from figure 26.5 in ASCE 722. To better understand how wind interacts with the canopy, we'll use a digital wind tunnel, specifically R-Wind software. This tool lets us simulate wind flow from different directions using computational fluid dynamics. These virtual tests help us see how air moves around the structure and where high and low pressure zones develop. Visualizing this flow gives us insight into how to design a canopy that stays safe and stable under various wind conditions. Since wind can approach from many directions, we'll analyze 4 main directions: south to north, north to south, east to west, and west to east. We'll also include 2 oblique angles, 45 degrees south toward east, and 80.5 degrees south toward east. These 6 directions give us a full picture of the critical pressure patterns across the canopy. Let's start with the south to north wind direction. We begin by creating a 3D model of the bus terminal and importing it into R-Wind. Next, we orient the model so that wind direction in the simulated tunnel flows from south to north. The wind speed is set to 45 meters per second, and each simulation takes about 4 minutes to run. Here's what we see. This animation shows how the wind wraps around the canopy. The red streamlines indicate faster airflow near the top edge, which produces suction pressure on the upper surface. Looking at the pressure distribution in a typical cross-section of the canopy, red areas represent positive pressure, wind pushing against the surface. Blue and green areas represent suction or negative pressure, wind pulling away from the surface. Across the top surface, the average pressure ranges from negative 1,600 to negative 500. To convert this into a distributed load on the frame below, we multiply the pressure by the frame's tributary width, 8 meters, between adjacent frames. That gives us line loads measured in newtons per meter. For the bottom surface, the story changes. On the south side, the wind creates a positive pressure of 1,300, which gives an upward distributed load of 10.4 kilonewtons per meter on the long cantilever. On the north side, we have an average suction pressure of negative 500, producing a downward distributed load of 4 kilonewtons. Combining these gives us the total distributed load on the frame for this wind direction. Let's call it wind load case 1. Next, let's look at the east to west wind direction. As the wind moves across the canopy, suction forms again on the top surface, strongest near the leading edge, then tapering off. The exposed edge beam also takes significant lateral pressure, which we will revisit later. The bottom surface is more complex. The partition walls cause pockets of positive pressure, shown in yellow and red on the diagram. This means a few specific frames, especially the outer frame and the second interior frame, see higher loads than the rest. For the exterior frame, both top and bottom surfaces experience negative pressure of different magnitudes. For the interior frame, part of the bottom surface experiences positive pressure, creating a triangular load pattern near the partitions. We'll call these wind load cases 2 and 3. Now, let's examine the 45-degree south to west wind direction. This scenario produces suction on the top surface and positive pressure underneath. The most critical effects appear near the second to fourth frames from the east edge. Those will guide our frame design. Since all frames share the same geometry, we can focus on one typical frame. Combining the loads from both surfaces gives us the pressure distribution for wind load case 4. Here are the 4 load cases we have generated so far. After going through the other load cases, we've narrowed it down. These 4 are the most critical ones the structure will face. Besides these vertical loads, wind can also create horizontal pressures, which may cause torsion or bending in the columns. Let's check that. When wind blows east to west, the side beams take horizontal pressure, usually non-uniform. Using simulation data, we can break this into zones of roughly uniform pressure and then convert those to equivalent forces. On the east side, the total horizontal load is 15.8 kilonewtons acting slightly off-center. On the west side, it's 11 kilonewtons, also eccentric. Together, they generate a torque of about 4.6 kilonewton meters, which is quite small. For the south to north wind, the loads are much higher. On the south side, we get 75.36 kilonewtons. On the north, 77.76 kilonewtons. Because of their eccentric locations, they create a torque of 316 kilonewton meters, much larger than before. Now we have to ask, does this torque significantly twist each column? By considering the canopy area enclosed by the columns as a torsional section, we find that its torsional constant is very large, meaning the overall structure resists twisting well. The 3D structural analysis confirms this. Each column only sees about 0.01 kilonewton-meter of torque at its base. For all practical purposes, that is negligible, so torsion doesn't govern our column design. However, these horizontal loads do produce in-plane bending in the frames, so we'll still include them in our analysis. For loading in the south-north direction, the simulation indicates that a typical frame may be subjected to lateral loads of 4.8 kilonewtons on the south side and 5.6 kilonewtons on the north side. Both loads act at the top of the frame. We must also account for wind pressure acting on the exposed columns. The south-facing surfaces experience approximately 1,330 pascals of positive pressure, while the north-facing surfaces experience approximately 450 pascals of suction. Using a tributary width of 8 meters, these pressures correspond to distributed loads of 10.64 kilonewtons per meter on the south side and 3.6 kilonewtons per meter on the north side. Therefore, load case 1, representing wind in the south to north direction, must be updated to include these additional forces. In summary, the wind tunnel simulations have provided 4 primary loading cases that can be considered in the design. A simplified design approach for the bus terminal could use these cases as a preliminary basis. However, this is not sufficient if we are to follow established structural design procedures. Although simulations are powerful tools for understanding wind behavior, the final design loads must be determined in accordance with the applicable building code, in this case, ASCE 7. Simulations can supplement our understanding of the wind response, but they cannot replace code-based design calculations. In the next lecture, we will begin applying the ASCE 7 provisions to calculate the wind loads on the canopy.